We are talking about event classes. Event classes. The classes that represent events are at the core of Java's event handling mechanism. Event classes. At the root of the Java event class hierarchy is event object, which is in java.util, that is defined in java.util. It is the superclass of all events. Its one constructor is shown here, event object in brackets object source. That means the source has to be passed on to the event object, or the source is generating the event object. Source is the object that generates this event. The class awt event, which is defined in java.awt package, is a subclass of event object. It is the superclass of all awt based events used by the delegation event model. Its getID method can be used to determine the type of the event. The signature of this method is shown here in getID. So this is the theory behind it. So when you go through an example, you'll be thorough with these concepts. Event classes means the type of the events. For example, action event. Action event means it's a set of classes, set of events generated when a button is pressed, a list is double clicked, or a menu item is selected. That event is generated. Adjustment event means it is generated when a scroll bar is manipulated. Component event is generated when a component is hidden, moved, resized, or become visible. So these are all related to the GUI. Container event means generated when a component is added or removed from the container. Focus event means generated when component gains or loses a keyboard focus. Input event is an abstract superclass for all component input event classes. Item event generated when a checkbox or list item is clicked, also occurs when choice selection is made or a checkable menu item is selected or deselected. Okay. What about key event generated when input is received from the keyboard. Mouse event generated when the mouse is dragged, moved, clicked, pressed, or released. Also generated when the mouse enters or exits a component. Text event generated when the value of a text area or text field is changed. These are all events which we are encountering when you are dealing with the GUI. The most important ones are mouse event and key event and action event. So we are going to discuss that. For example, action event class. An action event is generated when a button is pressed, a list item is double clicked, or a menu item is selected. Okay. The action event class defines 4 integer constants that can be used to identify any modifiers associated with an action event. Alt mask, control mask, meta mask, and shift mask. In addition, there is an integer constant action performed which can be used to identify action events. Action event class. Action event has 2 constructors. Action event is a class and it has 2 constructors. That means object, source, int type, string cmd, int modifiers. Source means the source object or the keyboard, mouse, etc. That means the source of this action event is object source. Type means it is the type of the event. Then string cmd means it's command string. It's command string that we'll discuss. And modifiers means when we are doing or when we are generating this event, whether alt, control, meta, or shift keys were pressed when the event was generated. You can obtain the command name of the invoking action event object by using the getAction command method. That means that cmd is the action command and you will get it by using getAction command. When a button is pressed, an action event is generated that has a command name equal to the label on that button. The getModifiers method returns a value that indicates which modifier keys were pressed when the event was generated. Its form is shown here, int get modifiers. Then key event class. A key event class is generated when a keyboard input occurs. There are three types of key events which are identified by these integer constants: key pressed, key released, and key typed. The first two events are generated when any key is pressed or released. The last event occurs only when a character is generated. Not all key presses results in characters. For example, pressing the shift key does not generate a character. Another important one is the mouse event class. There are 7 types of mouse events. The mouse event class defines the following integer constants that can be used to identify the mouse click. The user clicked the mouse, mouse dragged, mouse entered, mouse exited, mouse moved, mouse pressed, mouse released. These are the mouse various things that can be done by a user as far as GUI is concerned. Mouse can click your mouse, drag your mouse, enter the mouse, exit the mouse, move the mouse, press the mouse, release the mouse. Okay.